Welcome to the Genius Talk podcast. I'm your host Atul Raj from the bestemailmarketer.com, and today we have Erich Archer with us. Eric, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to talk with you today.
Awesome, brother. So, for our listeners who don't know you, can you tell them who you are and what do you do?
Sure, I'm a television producer. I've been a television producer, camera operator for over 20 years all over the US. And the last couple years, I got very into AI video production. And so I've been doing a lot of that also. And I think that's what we're mainly going to talk about today.
Hmm. I'm curious, what inspired you to start working in AI in video production?
Well, part of my job is to anticipate trends in video and television and make sure that I'm considering the technology because I run a TV station by day. So whether it's, you know, new kinds of cameras or new kinds of technology, we always have to sort of understand what's coming so that we might take advantage of it. And there's been a number of technology shifts over the course of my career too. Like the shift to sort of consumer green screen or DSLR cameras or cell phone cameras, a lot of these, I lived through the, you know, analog to digital. So looking at AI was just sort of in that same context at first, but then I got really excited about the ability to generate imagery that I could turn into video because that, as someone who works with these elements, images, audio, graphics. It's like I'm in like a playground now because I know how to make this stuff, how to use it, how to edit with it. So it's just a lot easier and more imaginative to generate an image, work with it, edit it, make it into a video. And what I can do now on my own from my couch after work and on the weekends is remarkable. So I got sort of, I saw it coming. I started to learn about it. I got excited about it. And now I play with it all the time.
Okay. So, can you share a story or a project where AI made a surprising difference?
Yeah. I made a project about my ancestor who lived through the 1800s near where I live now. And I didn't know about him until I made this project. I was looking for material to make a project. This was actually my first AI project, and I was trying to come up with something personal to make. And my dad had done some ancestry research and like visited cemeteries and collected documents and learned a lot about our family ancestry. And he had showed it to me at one time, and I was looking through it, and I started to realize that it was kind of cool material for an AI project because here I have all of this sort of disorganized data. Some of it's pictures, some of it's graphs, some of it's cemetery plots, some of it's like old, dates and names of lots of people that you got to sift through and stuff. So I figured, I was learning about AI at the time, and large language models were really good at processing lots of unstructured data and text and stuff like that. And it was like, well, maybe I could sort of plug all this into ChatGPT and Perplexity and stuff like that, and it could start to help me get my head around it a little bit. And so I was able to identify an interesting ancestor of mine. He had an interesting name. He was a volunteer firefighter. He made barrels for a living. He lived through like all of the it's in Salem, Massachusetts, which was a sort of a bustling harbor through that time. And he had 4 kids, just like me. And so anyway, I got to like really explore his story, generate all the imagery relative to his story, old homes burning down and old fire departments rushing in to people making barrels in the old way and like all this kind of cool stuff. I was able to actually make these pictures that I would not have been able to find. They didn't exist. So I couldn't buy the stock imagery. I couldn't go shoot these things. So there was no way for me to be able to make this project other than to be able to do this deep research with these LLMs and be able to like write shot lists and prompts and stuff. And I even made a custom GPT with everything that I found about him and was able to simulate an interview with him and like ask him about his life and kids and fears and things like that. And that was really illuminating and informed a lot of the script. So AI was just this really interesting creative partner and enabler of this storytelling I wanted to do in a way that was impossible previously. So it just opened up this whole new area of storytelling in this really interesting way that like traditional production never could have. And even though none of it was real or accurate necessarily. Like the pictures of the harbor, all the boats are wrong and the barrels are wrong and everything. Even to the like historical societies and my dad who had done the research, they all thought it was valuable, even though it was not historically perfect, because it was able to tell this story in a way that was unique and worthwhile. And so it was just really an interesting first project for me in a lot of ways with AI to really kind of understand where AI could be useful all throughout. And I think that's what made it resonate with people and do well once I put it out and kind of kicked off my whole AI journey.
You know what? I was checking your website and the videos are really good. So, what have been your biggest challenge or learning while building CGA Creative?
I mean, it's all uncharted territory, you know. So everything I'm doing where, most of it I can't even really ask too many people how to do it. The platforms are brand new, the features are brand new, the problems are brand new, and there's not a lot of people out on the very edge trying to really push against those. So, it's always that. It's like, oh, I'm always trying to make the newest type of content possible with the
Mhm.
newest features and stuff like that. So it's always a wrestling match. It's always fighting against the capabilities of these platforms.
Okay, so I'm guessing almost every day you're doing something and you get a new challenge. Then you have to figure
Yeah.
that out. The
Yeah,
next day you are trying to do something new, and same thing happens.
exactly. All weekend long, I was wrestling with something that I couldn't make work by, Monday morning and had to wait, just table it.
Yeah, like similar thing is happening with me right now. I'm starting a different company, and it's an information company which I have never done before. So it's messy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah. Okay, so what are some common misconceptions people have about using AI in video production?
One of the common ones is that it's easy and sort of one click and done for you. That's not the case at all. I mean, still very difficult to make anything watchable, really. It still requires all the expertise of a professional to make a professional good story. I think the bar for image quality has come up and the bar for what your average untrained person can do has come up.
Come
But
up.
there's still a long way to go before you can like make something that people are really going to watch. It's just hard to do. It takes a
Okay,
lot
so
of platforms, a lot of time, a lot of mistakes, and a lot of expertise still to do it right.
okay. So how do you approach storytelling for different audience now that AI is part of the toolkit?
I try to focus on the stuff kind of like I was talking about with my first project, where it's stuff that only AI could do.
Mhm.
Where because, it was previously impossible from a traditional production perspective to make something because it maybe was on the moon or underwater or under a microscope or it was just fantasy or whatever.
Yeah,
And you couldn't make that before. Now you can. And I think that's interesting. And I think it's better than just one to one replacing what you could shoot with a camera. Like, I'm not really interested in making an AI version of a commercial that you used to shoot with cameras last year. That's not exciting to me. I want to try something that you haven't seen before, so that's my approach.
by the way, like who do you help, like who are your ideal clients?
I'm looking for clients that want to pursue original branded content in creatively risky ways without a real preciousness about their creative because I want to really drive and go fast and risky and original. I think
Yeah.
what's really cool about AI is all the weird new stuff that it can do, but I think it gets really kind of bogged down with old school thinking
Mhm.
about, you know, it's just not, you really need to play with it and use it to understand what's possible and
Mhm.
kind of what you shouldn't bother with. I get a lot of requests for like just replacing stock imagery with AI imagery, and it's just that's just kind of like lazy prompt. It's just lazy. It's not going to get you much in the day where you're to fight for attention is so much harder now. You've got to be
Yep.
willing to kind of lean into it and let your creative AI partners run a little bit so you can fail fast, make creative choices fast, pivot fast, stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so for our listeners who want to get help from you, where can they go?
You can find me through my website. It's cgacreative.com. And I have a store there for some of the products and services I offer. And my contact information is there. And I'm also very active on LinkedIn as well.
Okay, so is there anything else that you would like to share?
I would just encourage people who have creative aspirations to give it a try because it's really rewarding to be creative, to create art, to create stories, tell stories. I think there's a lot of people, most people have creative capability within them, and you have a way to flex that now that you didn't before. And I think that's just generally good for people, whether you make money with it or not. Pursue your creative ideas for your own health, if nothing else. But these tools are amazing and a lot of fun.
Okay, Eric, thank you so much for spending some time with us. And it was really good chatting with you.
My pleasure. Thank you very much, Atul.